What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 182 News Podcast. This is your host, Poppin' Curbs, and thank you for tuning in to the Season 3 finale. Doo-doo-doo. I wanted to get one more out this year. It's happening. I'm stoked. Today is going to be a big one. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to talk about. Got a DM from a dude named Elm City Saint. He said, "Hey man, you always talk about how Take Off Your Pants and Jacket is the best album ever. What if you did it head-to-head with Untitled and see if it truly stands track by track as your favorite?" And I thought, you know what? That's a great idea. I should probably get some other input since I feel like I'm quite biased. So today, my Blink friend in real life is going to join me on the season finale. We're going to go track by track, head-to-head, and at the end, we're going to see which one we prefer. I personally think Takeoff is going to win by a landslide, but I have not tallied this up until now. We shall see. Looking forward to it. Let's take care of some administrative items real quick. Just as an S3 recap, I wanted to thank you all for listening. It's been a cool year from a content perspective. Super stoked. We got Rick DeVoe on the podcast. We got Darren Doan on. Just some incredible conversations and guests that I was stoked to be able to bring on and really just share these stories with all of you. Obviously, Tom's back in the band. Exciting time in Blinkland. Next year is just going to be insane. I cannot wait to dive into some of these new songs and the new album and tour, all of that good stuff. So I'm pretty sure we will be renewed for season 4. But we shall see. I'm going to play it by ear. But I just wanted to thank you all so much for listening. I put up a little note in my Instagram story around Thanksgiving that I really appreciate this place as kind of a little creative outlet or escape for me. And I've talked about it on a previous podcast, but the last year for myself and my family was pretty gnarly, not going to lie. And I always appreciate just having this place and all of you all to kind of chat Blink with and kind of escape and just think about the good times with the band we love so much. So I want to thank you all for listening and tuning in and chatting. It really does mean the world to me. I mentioned that I wanted to hit on some of my top albums. I thought about maybe even doing a one-off episode on this. The past few months, I've really tried to give other bands some love in my brain. And I always listen to quite a bit of music and, you know, everything from jazz to hip hop. I mean, I'm all over the place. Anything but country I jam to. But I listen to so much Blink and sideband land that the past few years, it's like, man, I've kind of fallen off on some of these bands and the newer releases. So I made an effort this year to go out of my way and make sure I was listening to most of the new stuff that was coming out. I'm not going to do a full episode on it or anything like that, but I do want to mention my top albums and my top EP. So top albums, quickly, I just want to shout it off. And if you haven't listened to these, go listen to them. If you have, I would love to hear your feedback and kind of what some of your favorite jams were from this year. The first one to me by a landslide was that No Pressure album. If you follow the pod IG, I've posted it on there. If you like Dude Ranch era Blink and really riding into Enema, just that pure pop punk with some two-stepping in there, listen to that No Pressure self-titled album. It's fucking amazing. The song Sour on there, I cannot stop listening to it. Some folks were surprised when I posted my top 5. Block Party's Alpha Games was on there. I used to love Block Party back in the day, so I was stoked that they had an album that I could really rock to again. And then what I put in at number 3, which was a newcomer, this just dropped not too long ago, but I'm blown away by the new Bush album. So blown away that it actually reminded me of how much I used to love Bush back in the day. I mean, even pre-Blink, I was super into Bush. I got tickets to see them here in a couple months, actually, because this new album's so sick. So check those out. I would love to hear, what you're listening to. I'm always open to suggestions. A lot of folks commented on that post, and I checked out a lot of the bands that were mentioned. EP, for me, it's this band Normie. And if you haven't checked them out, it's Normy. Check out that EP. Their singer is a dude named Eric from Heart Attack Man, which is another band that I just really, really love. go check out that out. It just rips left and right, and you definitely should give that a little spin. Okay. A lot of folks have asked me this. This comes up throughout the years, and I don't have commercials. I don't have ads. I'm not in this for the money. I don't do this, for that. I don't have a Patreon. But over and over, folks keep asking me how they can support me or support the pod. And what I'll do is, in the episode description, I will put what is just my little Twitch donate link. If for some reason you want to help with hosting the podcast fees, or buy me a Coke or a pack of Gobstoppers or something, just as a donation for listening to the pod, click on that link and donate whatever you want. Again, I'm not in this for the money, but a lot of you have asked, so I wanted to put that in there just in case. And of course, I appreciate anything. It'll all just go towards hosting fees for the podcast, or a late night snack for me. So thank you in advance. That'll be in the podcast description. Okay, heading into next year, like I said, I'm pretty sure we will be renewed for season 4. I want to say that my New Year's resolution for the pod is to be a little bit better on YouTube. I think I need to step up my game on my YouTube page. I've started trying to do some more videos. Previously, I would just rip the audio and kind of get that up for folks who want to listen on their computer or something. But I like doing the videos and chatting with you all. So I did a couple about the Blink-182 Funko Pops. I did a random one the other day about Greg Graffin's new book, Punk Paradox, which was amazing. But I really want to step my game up. And one thing I really want to try to do is pull out some videos of the interviews I've done, little excerpts. So I just did this the other day. It was the 10th anniversary of Dogs Eating Dogs. And it reminded me of my interview with Christopher Holmes. And I'm thinking, gosh, if you weren't listening to the pod at that time or haven't listened to this, y'all are missing out on some killer information that these guests were sharing. So I went back and I snipped out that excerpt of Chris talking about the creation of Dogs Eating Dogs, and I released that as a video for the first time ever. Some folks have asked about this in the past. Honestly, it's just a lot of editing. It takes a lot of time, but I'm going to try to be better about it this year. I'm going to try to get some clips up of DeVoe, maybe the Mr. T-shirt stuff. So we'll see. Definitely sub to the YouTube page to get those notifications. I'm not going to plug it left and right. So just make sure you're sub there and you'll see the new content that pops up. That'll be from the 182 News Archives. Okay. That is all of the administrative talk at the beginning. Today, last one of the year, let's go out with a bang. We're going to do head-to-head, Take Off Your Pants and Jacket versus Untitled. My Blink friend in real life, who has been on a previous podcast. I've been to every Blink show with him. We go way, way back. Go listen to my interview with him a long time ago if you kind of want to hear us talk about Blink for an hour and a half. He and I are going head-to-head on this. We're going to see where we end up. And I hope you enjoy it. I honestly don't know what's going to win. I think it's got to be TOYPAJ, but we shall see. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. As usual, have a happy holidays and enjoy the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now joining us on the 182 News podcast for the second time, my Blink friend in real life, Matt. Matt, what's happening?
What's up, brother? How are you?
I'm doing great. I just cleaned a bunch of bottles. I got a little technique down. Everything's just fine and dandy.
The kid life.
So I had a podcast listener reach out, Elm City Saint, and he said, man, I think you should do Take Off Your Pants and Jacket versus Untitled, track by track. I want to hear you duke it out. Maybe you could have a panel. I think it would make for a good episode. And I thought, you know what? I think that would be a great episode. I always talk that TOYPAJ shit about how it's the greatest of all time. I'm on the record saying that Untitled's not my favorite Blink album. Honestly, I don't know if it's top 3, but I love it. These all have a little special place in my heart. So I started thinking about, okay, who would I bring on? I would like to kind of go back and forth debating with somebody. And I thought of you, buddy. I thought of my Blink friend in real life. We both love TOYPAJ, and I thought you'd be the perfect guest to bring on, and we're going to hash this out.
It's just going to make you look better because you know TOYPAJ is probably going to win this.
I'm predicting a landslide, to be honest. So I reached out to you about, I don't know, a week and a half ago just to start looking at the logistics of how do we line these up? Because the songs didn't match up. There was an extra track on Untitled. We debated, do we just remove the interlude? Do we tack on one of the joke songs or bonus songs from TOYPAJ to make it line up? There's 6 to choose from there, so that didn't quite work out. Ultimately, to line this up track by track, we decided to take out the Fallen interlude on Untitled. And essentially, we have what, 13 verse 13?
Yeah, and I had the Stockholm interlude on mine too, so I removed that just to make it all line up. I think the only thing that doesn't come out fair in this is Happy Holidays Violence. So
Yeah, we'll touch on that because honestly, well, we'll get to it. I think Violence probably would have beat
oh
most
yeah,
songs there. So it was kind of a
100%
wash.
agree.
Okay, so we've got it lined up. The Fallen interlude has been removed. And what we're going to do is just head to head. So track 1 versus track 1, track 2 versus track 2, etc. We're going to go through. I have not tallied these up. I listened to these. You created a little playlist for us that had these going back and forth, which was nice.
Yep.
I listened to that probably 4 times. I did it
Yeah.
various car rides. I did it with my Apple Pro AirPods on, and I made some subtle notes, but I have not tallied these up. I don't know where I'm going to stand, but I'm thinking TOYPAJ should win, and I'm going to look like a fucking idiot if it does not.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I probably got a few more listens in than you do. I have some long driving for my job, so I'd say I probably got this playlist done at least 7 times.
Well, and you've got a better car system, so it's probably a lot better than my Kia. Okay, well, let's get started, man. I'm going to kick this off with Anthem 2 versus Feeling This. And when I saw this matchup, my first thought was, God damn it. These
Right?
two, I mean, these are 2 of my favorite Blink songs of all time. So for these to start off going head to head, I mean, it's just unfair. And I will say this, Anthem 2 to me would probably crush basically any other Untitled song and vice versa. I mean, Feeling This would probably beat almost every song on TOYPAJ for me. Anthem 2 would crush basically anything on Untitled because I just love this album so much. They're both so special to me in that they kick off brand new eras. And it's like, as soon as I hear those intros, man, I just want to go nuts for both of these. So right out of the gate, I'm like, fuck, man, this is Tyson versus Holyfield, and someone's gonna have to bite an ear to get an advantage here. My gut says this. Look, Anthem 2 just has such a special place in my heart. When I hear that little down, 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 I just want to go absolutely nuts. Actually, you and I on the deluxe tour in 2017 at a sound check, they busted that out. Do you remember that?
Yes,
They busted
very
that
much
out,
so.
and I was like, "Oh my God." Funny side note there on Instagram the next day, I was scrolling through and I saw somebody who was behind us taking videos at that sound check. I guess it must have came up with a hashtag Blink-182 or something. And you and I are in the front just going nuts to that song
Yeah.
at sound check, which is funny. But back to the point here. Anthem 2, it kicked off what is hands down my favorite Blink album. Feeling This, man, that song is just amazing. When Mark
Right.
did a full bracket of the best Blink songs ever, I mean, he chose that as the favorite. I think something that holds a special place in our hearts is basically almost every time we've seen Blink, they have opened with
Mhm.
Feeling This. So, as much as it pains me to do this, I think I've got to go with Feeling This on this one, dude.
Yeah. No, I'm right there with you. Again, kind of like what you just said, I think Anthem Part 2 is an amazing song, no doubt. And it kicks off Toy Patch. I mean, it's what's better than that? And it has such a good feel, and you're exactly right. Matched up to any other song on the album, I would choose that. But I love Feeling This, and it just mainly I gave Feeling This the nod on this one, but the main reason you just said is that it just takes me back to I'm at a Blink concert. It just takes me back to I hear the song, I think of a Blink concert. I really think of when we went to the Untitled um, anniversary show in LA. I mean, black, and then all of a sudden Mark gets on jumping around playing the song. We're right there. It takes me back to a special place. So for me, feeling this takes the cake on this one.
Gosh, that is
I know.
so hard.
Oh, dude, it's yeah.
But you're right, man. Like when that riff kicks in, the and that curtain drops,
Yeah,
and I just picture Mark coming out, hopping, smiling, stoked. You know you're in for a fucking treat.
absolutely.
So feeling this, final answer for you?
Yep. Final answer. And again, it's just because I have a personal experience with the song. It makes me feel a way that it might not make other people feel. So
Yeah.
for me, yeah, it's got to be feeling this.
I'm gonna put down feeling this for me as well, which is it's just so tough. This is like picking your favorite kid. This is tough. All right. So surprisingly, the TOYPAJ stands here out of the gate. We're voting for Untitled.
Yeah. 0-1. 0-1.
All right. Next one, online songs versus obvious. This one was a little bit easier for me, I think. Now, what's interesting is online songs has a bit of a fan favorite following. I mean, it's kind of a I don't know, it's at the beginning of the album, but I almost feel like it's a B cut because a lot of folks don't know about it. But to me, online songs is gonna take the W here. I love that bass line. I love Mark coming in, Josie, you're my. It's just an absolute banger. And then I think, Blink gets a lot of shit for all the na na nas these days, but at this time, these were a great use of na nas. I mean, outside of all the small things, the na nas at that point in these songs are just perfect. So I will say for obvious, I love the guitar tone. Like, dude, when that kicks in, dum 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 dum, and I love what Travis does there. I was listening to that, and I'm gonna hit on this a little bit later, but I feel like Travis just crushes Untitled. His drumming goes to a whole new level on this album. But on that song, man, when he kicks in and goes doom da do da do da 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 doom da do da. So it's really tough for me because from a production standpoint, and this will be a running theme, from a production standpoint, I really like Obvious. I think it's superior. I love the tones more. I think musically it probably took a little bit more talent and artistry to pull off, but I'm going with online songs here.
Yeah. I'm right there with you again. I choose online songs. I think it's a more fun song. Just you and I grew up with American Online and AIM and having screen names and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So it just hits home a little bit more for me. A little bit more beat, fun. Obvious is a little bit darker, and for a lot of people, that's the way they would go. But for me, it's online songs.
Man, dude, the na-nas on that song. And she said na 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 na. It's so good.
And I like how they reintroduced Josie into the song too. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and that just made me think. I think a good episode would be the top 10 use of na-na-nas in Blink songs.
Wow.
I feel like this would come in. I feel like this would come in at number 2. It's tough to beat all the small things. I think that's going to be the perfect one, but we'll see. If I'm desperate for an episode down the line, I'll pull you back in as a panelist for best na-na-nas. All right, I'm going online songs on this one. No doubt. We're on the same page here.
Yeah.
Okay.
1-1.
Number 3. I'm honestly glad that these lined up as they did, because I will say this. This is First Date versus I Miss You. Both absolute huge hits. I mean, just great songs.
Both
Yeah,
overplayed.
but at this point, to me, they're on my list of. There's basically 3 songs. I was thinking about this. I think there's 3 songs that I would be totally cool with them retiring off the set list. Almost like it's a Beanie Baby that's just been made for too long, or with Funko Pops, they retire them. And it goes back to like MTV when they retire music videos just from overplay and stuff. If there are 3 Blink songs that I think I would be totally cool with not ever hearing live again, it would be First Date, I Miss You, and probably All the Small Things. So when these
man, that's tough. That's too much nostalgia for them not to play those live.
Well,
I mean, for you and I, for sure, just because we've seen Blink a dozen times by now.
Yeah,
But
and that's the problem. they have to play these live. They have to,
Sure.
especially all the small things. And I miss you. I think they've left First Date off a couple times, maybe
Oh
when
yeah,
we've seen
several
them.
times.
But for me, I was super glad these lined up because, you know, I hate to say it, but I'm kind of over them. They're kind of a tie at this point in my head as far as like I guess how much I play them, which is pretty minimal, or go back and revisit them. But I'll say this for First Date, it's a feel good song. It's that
Yep.
take off your pants and jacket vibes that you and I love. It's a summer jam. I love the guitar tones in it, and something that I love about that song. And this goes back to when the album first came out, and I was learning guitar and learning a lot of Blink songs. This song really taught me that you don't necessarily have to have like a crazy guitar solo. And I think that's something that Tom has really taught a lot of guitarists of our generation is, I used to think that to be a guitarist, you had to have your Eddie Van Halen chops or go off on a certain section of the song. And what I love about this one is really the guitar solo is the chords. And it's that last kind of part of the song where he goes and I remember just learning that back in the day, playing it over and over and over. And it's like, you know what? You can still be a rad guitarist by just playing some little chords back and forth here instead of having to
Some easy chords.
rip off a scale or go fucking crazy. So my takeaway from my listens there is like, man, I just love that the vibes of that. I love that little chord solo, and it's just a feel good summer jam. Now, when I went over to I Miss You, and as I just alluded, this isn't a song that I revisit all the time just because I've heard it so much at this point. I will say this. It's lyrically brilliant. I mean, the lyrics, if you line those up compared to First Date, I mean, First Date's kind of just a fun little story about a girl. The I Miss You lyrics are brilliant with, the Halloween on Christmas. I think the production, once again, is better. I think it's more iconic. I mean, when you get to the Tom line, where are you? I mean, who doesn't know
Right.
that?
Yeah.
I think it translates better live because they do a rad kind of outro on it. But my takeaway when I'm listening to both is like, I Miss You sad. It's slower. It's kind of emo vibes. And First Date, even though I think the lyrics are probably a little bit more shallow, I just feel better when I listen to it. It's a feel good
Sure.
summer jam. So I'm going with First Date on this, and I'm not particularly surprised by that.
So in my notes, I put this was extremely close. I do like both songs. I do think both songs are overplayed for sure. At least if you're a Blink fan. I give First Date the nod on this one, just for a lot of the same reasons. Again, the era this album came out for me, I was junior, senior in high school. So, you go on first dates, you kind of can relate to what Tom's saying in the song. It was really tough for me because I Miss You is such a good song. It really is. And really, it probably has the most popular Tom verse in the history of Tom DeLonge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think there's a more popular verse than Tom's verse in I Miss You. But again, a little darker. For me, I like the upbeat. I like First Date, and I think the reason why TOYPAJ, and I'm sure we'll touch on this at the end, this is such a big album for me is because it is upbeat. It does put you in a good mood, and for the most part, even some of the sad songs, and we'll touch on that too, are still can kind of pump you up. So yeah, for me, this is First Date as well. So I got my tally: TOYPAJ 2, Untitled 1.
So the way that because I mean, it was a little close for me, but the way that I really ironed this out in my head towards the end, and this is kind of funny, I said, okay, if I'm Tom Hanks on Castaway and I'm stuck on an island with fucking Wilson, the little volleyball, and I could pick one of these to
Oh,
play forever on repeat, I'm picking First Date because of the vibes, and it's just kind of that feel good, take off your pants and jacket era vibes.
yeah, and I think it tells about a better story too. I think First Date tells a good story. Not that I Miss You doesn't tell a good story, but I just think First Date's a better story.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I just thought about this. Comparing the music videos, we could have gone to a whole new level and compared
Oh
music
yeah,
videos on these. But I mean, I'll say this at the time. I mean, I thought the first date thing was just fucking hilarious, and I know they had a blast on the set there. Today, I mean, I think the boomer thing is a tad bit played out. So, but then when I go back and look at the "I Miss You" video and pictures from that era and stuff, I'm just
Oh
like,
my god.
it's so emo. It's
Yeah.
so
It's
sad
cringeworthy.
emo. But at the time, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, that's where everybody was heading. You didn't really realize it at the time, but in hindsight, I'm like, man, uh, little
And
different
I
there.
and I bet most people would strongly disagree with First Date over I Miss You. I bet the majority would definitely choose I Miss You over that.
I, I bet so too. But what's crazy, man, I mean, I don't think it's a surprise that myself for sure, like I like the old, faster, Blink, skate punk sounding
Oh, for sure.
songs. And I think if you played "I Miss You" to a hardcore Blink fan from 1995 who just picked up Cheshire Cat, they would be like, "Man, is that the same band? Like it's so different." And I
Yeah,
don't want
that's a
that
good
to be
point.
an I don't want that to be a knock because I want artists to grow, and I think what they did on Untitled is amazing. I'm going to touch on that. Um, but it's totally different. So it's not shocking to me that somebody who loves Dude Ranch or Cheshire Cat or kind of old school Blink at that time, I think most of them would pick First Date, but I don't know. I'll be curious to get ripped in the comments when this episode drops.
Right?
All right, so we're both on the same
Better
page
better
there.
you than me.
Yeah, that's true. At least you're anonymous. My dumb face is everywhere. People are yelling at me. Okay. This one. So again, we debated on removing "Happy Holidays" because it's a joke song. Even though there's some rippage going on with the instruments, but
Sure.
at the end of the day, with what this was up against, a behemoth like Violence,
Yeah.
I think we both felt that whatever, Violence is going to win either way. So for me, my takeaway on "Happy Holidays," it's fucking hilarious. I mean, what band can get away with, grandpa shitting his pants, just the jokes that are in that song. I like the quick instruments that are going on. But when you compare that to Violence, man, if you listen to that, and I just closed my eyes and I listened on my AirPod Pros, and it just took me to a whole new level. Right outside of the gate, I mean, I can't speak enough of this. The guitar tone on Untitled is like where I want to live. That's just the tone that I want. And it's interesting because the vibes that I like are actually "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket." But from a Violence perspective, dude, when that guitar kicks in, and it's simple. And then Travis. This is where, to me, Travis becomes a god. I mean, on Enema and on "Take Off Your Pants and Jacket," yeah, Travis crushes it. But at that time, actually, on Enema, he was kind of a studio drummer, really, from a contractual perspective. When it comes to Untitled, and I think this is because of Boxcar, and I think this is because of, no one ever mentions this, but he went off and did Transplants at the time. Dude, by the time Untitled comes around, Travis is just as much an integral part of the band and the writing, and his parts are just as iconic to me as some of Mark and Tom's. And so when this intro kicks in and Travis comes in, I'm just like, oh my God. I could not imagine how sick it would be to be Mark and Tom and just be strumming a little guitar lick right there. And Travis Barker comes in and just puts every ounce of his soul into that fucking intro. And that's not even getting into how he performs it live. If you've ever seen this live, it's a highlight of the show. There's an extended intro. They
Yeah.
go off. But man, he just absolutely fucking crushes that. And I'm sure there's probably a technical term for what he's pulling off there on the drum. Someone's going to yell at me in the comments. They're going to say, that's a quintuplet ruplet with an emphasis on the third, you fucking idiot. But that I mean, if you don't go off there, I can't help you. So my takeaway there is that intro alone. I mean, Travis's drum intro right there alone probably would have beat "Happy Holidays" for me. And then when you come in to both of them singing on top of each other, I mean,
Always love that.
I don't know that
Always
I've
love
heard that before, really, from any band to sing on top of each other for the full verse. I have a note there that obviously the live component, we've seen that plenty of times. It just takes a song to a new level. And then what I wrote out here on my little notepad when I was listening to this is no one sounds like this. And it's something that is fascinating to me when it comes to Untitled. Blink in this pop punk craze in the late 90s, so many bands tried to replicate that, and they could replicate the tone and, the format of these feel good songs. But dude, no one has replicated Untitled, and that's just for the album as a whole. No one I have heard has pulled that off even remotely close to what they did. And so, to me, obviously, by how much I've just talked about it, this is an easy dub for Violence.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that as well. Yeah, I mean, if you're not hyped for the freaking song, for the lyrics coming on the song, there's something wrong with you. Just like you just said, Travis just absolutely murders the song. And this is one of those that Violence could have gone up against a lot of songs, and I probably would have chose Violence because it is such a great song. And Happy Holidays always has a special heart or a special spot in my heart because every time the song comes on, I always think about the damn question you asked at the Untitled concerts we went to.
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
And it was just like, what? Huh? And I was just like, really? Because I mean, I got it right away.
Yeah.
But it was just like nobody really got it. I just thought that was hysterical. It's just a funny spot in our Blink touring that I like to think about.
Let me bring that up quickly. So for those of you who have listened to the podcast since the beginning, Matt has been on an episode. It's called My Blink Friend in Real Life. So Matt and I have known each other since high school. We've loved Blink forever. We've traveled all over to see Blink. It's our favorite band. So go back and listen to that episode if you want to hear about all of our journeys and shows and trips and all that good shit. It was a really fun episode. In that, I tell the story about when, and this actually ties in with Untitled. Matt and I flew out to LA. It's the first time I had been in California. We went out there for 2 days to see the Untitled 10-year anniversary shows, back-to-back nights at Palladium, which was like a huge fucking deal. I mean, this was amazing. I was so stoked. Part of that was a VIP sound check package we got for both nights. And with that, you could submit a question to the band. And I think K-Rock was hosting it or some local radio DJ. And so I was trying to think of the perfect question to ask Mark or Tom. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do a funny one. I'm a funny guy. Let's get Mark laughing. This will be funny. So I submitted this. I said, did anybody's grandpa really eat 7 fucking hot dogs and shit in his pants? What's the story behind that lyric? So we fly out there. We're so stoked. This is the closest we've ever been to Blink. We're at sound check. It's amazing. We're literally like front row. This DJ comes out and he's reading off these questions. He's like, we've got some questions that have been submitted by people out here. And he's going through them and he goes, okay, this one's from Ryan from Indiana. Ryan, are you here? And I'm like, yeah, it's just me. I lift my hand up. We're right in front of Mark. So they're like looking at me like, okay, this is the dude. And the guy goes, Ryan here wants to know, did anybody's grandpa really eat 7 fucking hot dogs and shit in his pants? And Mark kind of looks at him, looks at me, and just goes, no. Next question. And my heart just sank. I was like, oh, man, I thought that was going to be so funny, and it was terrible.
It was crickets. It was hysterical.
And nobody in the crowd even laughed. I'm like, this is funny. Anyways, I forgot about that. I did not take that into account when it came to my vote. Violence definitely would have beat it with that in hindsight.
Still does.
So Violence, easy dub for you.
Yep, 2-2s is my count.
Okay, I'm not keeping mine, but I'll tally it up at the end. I think I mentioned this, but you and I have not officially tallied these up. I don't know where I stand. I'm predicting a TOYPAJ landslide, but we'll see. Okay, next one. This was a little bit harder for me. Story of a Lonely Guy versus Stockholm Syndrome. Now, Story of a Lonely Guy, I mean, I think like the title says, tells a good story. I really like Tom's lyric about, so read my book with the boring ending, the short story of a lonely guy. I remember listening to that all the time back in the day. However, man, up against Stockholm Syndrome, phew, this song's amazing. And we get some angst in there. There's great back and forth with Tom and Mark. We get screaming, angry Mark at the end with he comes in with a little higher voice there. And I love Mark's lyrics on this song. So, where he's talking about life's temporary, like New Year's resolutions. I'm so lost. I'm barely here. I wish I could explain myself, but words escape me. It's like, man,
100%.
dude, that song takes the dub. No question for me.
Yep, same thing. Stockholm Syndrome is one of the stronger songs on the album as well. Um, Probably my second favorite song on the album.
Mm.
And I actually enjoy listening to Stockholm Syndrome with the interlude from the girl reading the letter and stuff like that. I know we left that out, but I think that does a really good job of building up, and then that song just hits and just comes in so strong. And just Stockholm Syndrome wins this one for me by a landslide.
Okay. Yeah, Untitled is just such a masterpiece, man. It's such a work of art. That's what I love about it. I mean, it truly is.
Yeah.
Okay. This next one, Piece of Cake. The Rock Show versus Down. So The Rock Show, unlike First Date and I Miss You and All the Small Things, The Rock Show is one of their hits that just never gets old to me. I could listen, if I was on an island with Wilson, I could listen to this over and over and over and have just as much fun being lonely and miserable as I would from the first listen. My takeaway here is it never gets old. It is a feel-good summer jam that I can listen to over and over. And I'll say the other two that it reminds me of as far as replay value, What's My Age Again and Damn It are the same way to me, man. Like I can listen to those over and over and over. Down, I like it. I mean, I think, I don't know. I feel like folks would vote, the majority would vote Rock Show versus Down on this, surely to God.
Sure.
But Down, I mean, I like it. I think the chorus is really powerful. But to me, it's just kind of the sad, dark, emo vibes. And The Rock Show it's fucking summertime. Let's have some fun with some skate
park. Absolutely. So this is a no-brainer. Rock Show is one of my favorite songs of all time. Not just Blink, but it's probably top 2 Blink. That and Not Now. I love both those songs so much. And I agree with you. That the song doesn't get old. You can listen to it all the time. Damn, it's the same way. What's My Age Again? Not so much for me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I can listen to the song a lot, but it's not on the same level as Damn It and Rock Show for me. But so we're driving in the car, me and my wife, and I'm listening to this playlist, and I start asking her which one, this one or this one. And she definitely chose Down, and I was like, "What?
What?"
I said, "Are you kidding me?" Her ringtone is Rock Show. Like her ringtone is Rock Show. And how on the iPhone you can create your own custom vibrations. Her text message tone is Rock Show. I'm like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like she's just like, "I just like the darker stuff." And I'm like, man, like if we were dating, we might not be dating anymore. But for my wife, I'm kind of stuck with you. So I couldn't believe that. But for me, this is not even close. It's Rock Show by a landslide.
It's not even close to me. And Down, again, I don't want it to sound like I'm ripping Untitled, and especially for being kind of emo and sad, because that was where pop punk went, at that time period.
Oh, sure.
But it's just, and in hindsight, I really made a concerted effort the past year to listen to a lot of different music. I've always been pretty versatile. You know this. I mean, I'll come in listening to Bob Marley one day and then death metal next. But I've been listening to so much Blink that I've really tried to okay, let's put these albums away for a little bit, show some other artists some love. So it had been some time since I had revisited Untitled, and especially some of the hits, like, I Miss You and Down, some of the stuff that I've just heard a million times. And I was just kind of shocked at kind of how sad, emo, kind of slower tempo that album is. And one of the things that in Down is like the little whispers, like, this can't be the end. I'm like, it's so dramatic. Who did this? But I mean, we'll get to it a little bit further. It's like, dude, I have 2 smiley face tattoos, so I'm not shitting on Untitled by any means. It's just to me, these are such different albums, and I guess that's what makes them beautiful. I mean, I want my artist to grow. I want them to sound different. But it's just shocking how different they sound to me when these are going head to head. I don't know that I've
Sure.
ever listened to all of these songs back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like we did on that
Yeah.
playlist.
I hadn't.
So it was like just listening to the production and the guitar tones and just how the sound was. I was just shocked at how different these were. And these are only 2 years apart. And these were, sequential albums. This is the order they came out in. So it's not like these are 15 years apart and you've got a totally
Right.
different band.
It's funny you say that too. So when I created this playlist for us, when we put them back to back to back, I find myself so many times, like especially in the Untitled, where the outro of the song in the Untitled leads right into the next song, and then it cuts
Yes.
and goes to a Toy Patch song, and I'm like, oh, like
Yeah.
so that just yeah, the production and the of Untitled is definitely superior to Toy Patch, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah. I was honestly just shocked at that. Okay. So this one, Stay Together for the Kids versus Go. To me, this was pretty easy. So
Yep.
Stay Together for the Kids, I mean, with that kind of clean guitar picking at the beginning, and then when that chorus kicks in with those chords and that angst, I mean, of all the Blink songs, honestly, dude, like that chorus and the guitar right there is so fucking powerful that I mean, I would almost put that up against, I don't know, quite a few Blink songs. I love this song, always have, and it's something that, especially when they replay that at the very end and they just go straight into I mean, you can get lost in that, man. Like, no matter what you're going through in life, no matter what issues you've got, how your day was, whatever, when that kicks in, you are lost in the music. And I feel like your angst can just pour out. So for me, comparing these two, it was pretty easy. I mean, Go. My notes here, I love the song. Don't get me wrong. This isn't like some of the others where it's like, you know, definitely want the Toy Patch version. I'll listen to Go. That's a song on Untitled that I'll revisit, occasionally. I love the guitar in it, but dude, for me, easy dub, Stay Together for the Kids.
Yeah, same here. Stay together for the kids. I come from a divorced family. So you can relate to it in different ways. You can feel both sides of the, so here's your holiday, just it tells such a good story, and it I feel like it touches so many people out there. Um, yeah, this was a clear winner for me. And I'll say the same thing as you did. Go's a good song. I mean, really, these are two albums that I could listen to front to back and not change songs, especially Toy Patch. Untitled, there might be a song or two that I might skip over, but for the most part, you can listen to these front to back, and they're both phenomenal albums. I'm not trying to put down Untitled when we're doing this, um, but yeah, for me, it's Stay Together for the Kids, easily over Go.
I think we're literally tied right now. I'm looking at my
Yeah,
notes here. We've
and,
picked the same ones.
and I'm looking at the track list, and it's not looking good for Untitled the rest of the way.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're just over the halfway point. So, all right. Roller Coaster versus Asthenia next. Um, this one, I like Roller Coaster. What I love about Toy Paj is I think kind of the B-side stuff just crushes, especially compared to some of the B-side stuff on the other albums. But man, Asthenia, dude, I had this in my top 10 most underrated Blink songs of all time. This, I mean, I haven't really thought about this, but I think on Untitled, after feeling this is probably my number two song from them. So, Roller Coaster, it's a feel good jam. I mean, I love it. It's something that I'll listen to for sure still to this day. But Asthenia, dude, to me, I love Tom's lyrics. I mean, where he comes in, I feel alone and tired. Dude, I feel that way all the time. I've always loved the line where he says, this room is bored of rehearsal. and Sick of the Boundaries, I Miss You So Much. I've always felt that was so introspective of how he felt with Blink at that time. And that may just be my little fan fiction, because I know this song is basically about an astronaut or a person being stranded in space. And that's why they're kind of saying, should I go back? Should I go back? Should I? But to me, my little fanfic there is that is him thinking about Blink. They're sick of rehearsing. They're sick of the boundaries, perhaps, with what they had kind of being in this pop punk bubble, with what they had to do with kind of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. And obviously, as everybody knows, Tom felt really the need to break off and do Boxcar Racer to get out of that bubble. And then ultimately we get this album because of that. So that line has always had a little bit of extra meaning in my head. The bridge is insane where they pan that back and forth and then back into the middle. My notes on it, though, I mean, if I had to knock it, the intro's too long. I felt when I was listening.
That's why it lost for me.
When I listened to this, I had it on my headphones and I'm like, has this song started? Like, did somebody call me? Is my phone off? And then you hear the little, astronaut speaking, which, as I just mentioned, or the person lost, whatever it is, that's part of the artistry and that's part of the story here. But I made a little note here that said, dude, arguably, this could be like the first Angels and Airwaves song.
It could.
I mean,
that direction.
Yeah, when it has the long intro and somebody talking and space sounds, this is a pretty good heads up of where Tom was going artistically not too long after this. But at the end of the day, dude, I'm picking Asthenia on this.
So I chose Roller Coaster.
Oh,
yep. And it was close. I have in my notes that this is close because once Asthenia starts, I mean, it's a great song. It's so good. But it leaves me wanting more. I feel like, it kicks in, it's awesome, and then bam, it's over. I'm like, what the heck? It needs another minute on that song, I feel like. But Roller Coaster with Mark coming in, breathing deeply, walking backwards, finding strength. For me, it just I love that song, and this was close, but I gave Roller Coaster the nod on this one. Just because I did, I guess, penalize Asthenia for the long intro. It wasn't an intro that kept my engagement. It wasn't like, it was just noises and whispers and talks and
yeah.
But when the song kicks in, it's awesome. But
so we have a conflict here.
Yeah, that's our first one we don't agree on.
Man, that Roller Coaster, that guitar, bow now, bow now, bow now, bow now, bow now, bow now. You're gonna make me change my mind. Nope, I'm locked in. Okay. I mentioned when I was pitching this podcast and promoting, I'm like, friendships may be lost over this. There's gonna be some beefs over this, and I cannot wait to hear folks kind of hashing it out, or the comments on the YouTube video or whatever. Because, dude, I think the vast majority of people will pick Untitled over TOYPAJ all day.
I think so too.
And to me, it's shocking.
But you know what? I'll say this. I think a lot of people should go back, do the same playlist and really match them up, because I think some people will be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, so. And it's tough when they go head to head. That's what I like about this. So, okay, next one.
Yeah, because it does kind of take that production out of it. Like I said, just a second ago, the songs from Untitled just kind of almost flow into one another. And that's a really cool feeling. But when you split them up and go song for song, it makes you actually look at the song for what it is, and then the song, not the song and the whole feeling into the next song.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's an interesting exercise for sure. Okay, the next one, Reckless Abandon versus Always. Dude, honestly, I still don't have this decision made up in my head.
Reckless
Abandon, they played this live. We've seen this performed live. I really like this song. It's a good B cut from TOYPAJ, no doubt. Always, I like the drum intro. I think it has great tones once again.
100%.
But to me, it's just kind of more of that mid-tempo, kind of more radio friendly, I guess, that I tend to shy away from with my Blink fandom for whatever reason. And maybe it's just I've heard it too many times. I wish on a lot of these I wish I could. Have you seen Severance, the show on
No.
Apple TV? Oh, dude, it's
Uh-uh.
so good. You need to watch it. Season one came out, I don't know, several months back. But anyways, basically, as soon as this person walks into work, they completely forget everything they knew outside of work. So they have no memory of who they are, what they are. They don't know their family or anything. And then as soon as they leave work, they don't remember anything that happened at work. So it's fascinating. It's almost like you can wipe your memory, I guess. Maybe a better way to put it was
Hmm.
I wish the Men in Black would show up in my room right now and do that little bzz thing and wipe my memory, because I wish I could listen to these for the first
That's
time
a really good point.
and truly just have no bias about radio play or how much I've heard it or,
Right. Right.
um, but obviously I can't. So my choice here, it's going to have to be Reckless Abandon. I'm going with
Yep.
Reckless Abandon.
I did the same, and for a lot of the same reasons you did. I mean, I always love that drum intro where he's hitting the side of the drum.
Yes.
Um, Very cool, very unique. But then I feel like the song's a little bit too repetitive, and like you said, it's just it was played out. Kind of, kind of going back to first date, and I miss you. I've heard it so many times, so it just for me because of that, I think it like you said, it kind of lost some of the amazement of the song. It's just for me. So yeah, I
Yeah.
chose Reckless Abandon as well.
Okay. All right. We're back on the same page.
Yep.
The next one, I feel like a lot of folks, I think I know how a lot of folks would go on this. I think they would lean towards Untitled. And for me, it is Every Time I Look for You all day. So this is
Uh
Every
huh.
Time I Look for You versus Easy Target. This is another one that I had in my top 10 most underrated Blink songs. Dude, this song fucking rips. Absolute banger. Um,
Just
insane
just
bridge.
an just an awesome vibe off the very get go. I don't.
Yes.
I'm sure but this song, I love this song, but this song always reminds me of American Pie too. I think it's the second one because that's the how the movie opens up. It opens up with a song.
Oh, I don't even know if that rings a bell to me for some reason.
Really? Yeah.
Interesting.
I think it's the second American Pie that it. Yep. Every time I look for you, the sun goes down. Yeah, I love this song.
I just have a note here that Mark is just crushing the bass on this. And I mean, that bridge when it comes in, it's just, I never did do anything that she asked. I never let what happened stay in the. I mean, dude, I can just get lost in that song and listen to it over and over and over. Easy Target. I mean, again, I hate to keep repeating it, but it's like I love the production on it. I love the drum sounds. I love the tones, the aggression at the beginning of that song. And then, this is a good example of when you break this up, it's really weird to listen to that and that not roll into all of this, which we'll get to next.
Right?
But for me, dude, Every Time I Look for You, piece of cake, taking that all day.
Same.
All right. Next one. This one was pretty hard. I'll say this. The next two, honestly, I think were the hardest for me to choose. So this is Give Me One Good Reason versus all of this. Now, Give Me One Good Reason, like the rest of Take Off Your Pants and Jacket, it just has that feel good pop punk summer vibe to it. I always like when Tom said, I like the kids who say they listen to the punk rock, they hate the trends. I think it's fuck to care. But when I go back and listen to this, it really stood out to me about those lyrics. They're not necessarily speaking to me. I mean, this is kind of a shallow, and I hate to say it that way, I say it respectfully, and at the time, this was 20 years ago, so it's a little bit different, but it's almost like you're writing those lyrics about kids and kind of for kids, which we were at that time, so it was perfect. But in hindsight, when I look at it now, I'm like, those lyrics are a tad on the cheesy side these days. But I still love the vibes I get from it. I still love the chorus, and all the instruments. Now, when I switch over to all of this, I think hands down, I think this is artistically superior. There's a couple points I got to make here. The fact that they got Robert Smith on this from The Cure, their hero. I mean, one of their heroes, inspirations. So that is so fucking rad. I mean, for them, I'm so stoked for them. Actually, this is my wife's favorite Blink song, which is interesting. Who would have thought? But that intro, I was laughing about this, dude. I was listening to this, and that intro is so haunting. And for some reason, the vibe that popped in my head, I felt like I was being led to a trial. I felt like I got caught stealing gobstoppers from Target. They're suing me, and I'm being walked into the courtroom to my doomsday. And I don't know why, but that's just the vibes I got from it. And even as I sit here and talk through these, this is another one that I did not have a concrete answer on. Dude, this is tough. Where are you at on this?
Um, so for me, I gave give me one good reason has to win this one for me. Um, all of this is a great song. I love Tom's when Tom comes in with his chorus and stuff on on all of this, but it's just a bummer song for me. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so for me, give me one good reason does win this one for me as well.
Mm, this is tough, man. Because if you pair this with Easy Target, those kind of go together like peanut butter and jelly. It's perfect. I mean, the transition is perfect.
Sure,
And to
sure.
to reuse the same riff just slowed down into the next song, I had
Hmm.
never seen that happen before.
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
definitely a creatively genius.
the I have a note here. It says a lot of Holly from those two songs. Holly, let me out. Use me, Holly. I got a lot of Holly in these two songs. Dude, I'm gonna go all of this, and I'm shocked by this. But I think artistically and just how stoked I am for those dudes to collab with one of their heroes, I'll go all of this. Although, I'm being led to trial. I'm getting ready to be persecuted for stealing gobstoppers accidentally. It better just be probation. Okay. This next one was pretty tough for me, man. I'm not gonna lie. This is Shut Up versus Here's Your Letter. Okay, I'll start. So, Shut Up, dude. I have always loved this song, and I
Me
just
too.
think there's so much angst in it. It's so good. I think part of what I loved about it so much back then is the cussing. Shut the fuck up, like I'm going fucking deaf. I have said this before. I like my Blink 182 with cuss words, and I'm not gonna lie. I think it has a little bit to do with how much I just loved them back in the day because they didn't give a fuck. It wasn't what your parents wanted them to do. It was funny, and I think that plays a big role in my nostalgia of this song. Is just the blatant F words left and right. I love it. Now, what's interesting is Mark hates this song,
Yeah.
like hates it, dude. And I think it's almost a running joke at this point of like, will they ever play it live? And, why don't you like this song? He's probably sick of hearing about it. But I think for me, alongside Give Me One Good Reason, I think when he looks back at it, it's probably just kind of like middle school lyrics. I think he probably thinks of the lyrics as just being a little bit shallow. Um, but when you compare that to Here's Your Letter, dude, another Mark banger. I love
Yeah.
the bass on that. Um, I love Mark's Are We Cursed to This Life line. I mean, that line has always just stuck out to me. Dude, again, this is brutal, man. I think I'm going to have to take Shut Up just because back in the day, I mean, when it comes to that latter half of that album, this was like my go-to jam just to hear some good old F words out loud. So I'm going Shut Up, but I'm curious to hear where you fall on this.
I'm going, here's your letter.
Mm.
And I thought, looking at it, and I think, when we started talking about doing this, and I'm like, oh man, and I was like, oh yeah, Shut Up's gonna win. And then when I started listening to it, here's your letter is so good, and it
It
just
is.
again, I think I can relate to it. Dealing with it brings me to a song that I like to listen to. I listen to a lot during one of my bad breakups. Um, I, I just I love the song. So again, personal reasons probably give this one a nod for me. And Shut Up is has a great vibe and a just a fuck you attitude to it that I love. But Here's Your Letter wins, surprisingly wins this one for me.
Man. Okay. Last one. This one to me, this may have been the easiest one on here. Please Take Me
Really?
Home. Yeah, Please Take Me Home versus I'm Lost Without You. So Please Take Me Home. I love that guitar intro. I
Sure.
mean, when that thing just kicks in, it's not that it's crazy hard, but I just love how it sounds. And I got a note here, man. This reminded me, like, dude, this song got me through some shit. Like, I used to listen to this song all the time back in the day. And I'll tell you what line it was that always stuck out to me is that be strong when things fall apart. Be strong when things fall apart. I don't know. It just takes me back to being like just bummed back in the day. Um, when I listen to I'm Lost Without You, it's long. It's got that super slow emo vibe. I think it's a great closer. I mean, if you listen to
Yeah.
it in the context of the
It is
album,
long, but that drum solo at the end too is so awesome.
I know, and it reminds me of, the closer on Nine, where Travis just goes off on the drums at
Yeah.
the end, and
Yeah.
you're kind of just left with, but I don't know. I felt it was a little repetitive. I mean, at the end, I was just thinking to myself, I wonder if Tom is lost without whoever this person is. um, and I think it's just a great, again, transition of where Tom was heading. And it's one of those examples in my head of where I just picture the dudes kind of clashing artistically of, Tom was kind of wanting these longer intros and obviously went towards that Angels and Airwaves direction.
Sure.
And just thinking of where Mark and Travis probably were with like, dude, we need some pop punk bangers. You can just see that drift apart a little bit. And on this album, they were able to tie it in perfectly, but you can just see what's coming. So for me, I'm taking Please Take Me Home on this. I didn't think it was particularly hard at all.
So I chose Please Take Me Home as well, although I did struggle with this one. Yes, and ultimately probably the length of the song "I'm Lost Without You" and the repetitiveness got me. But I do love "I'm Lost Without You." I do love, I can't turn it off when I listen to the album. It's one of those I gotta listen to it. I gotta listen to it all the way through, and I gotta let Travis finish with that drum solo, and I gotta, just like you said, when the song ends, you're sitting there going, "This motherfucker's the best ever."
Yeah.
I mean, he's just different. I love the fact that if you listen to it on some headphones, it almost sounds like there's two sets of drum sets going on that solo. Here I am talking all about "I'm Lost Without You" and and "Please Take Me Home" one, but that's why I like "I'm Lost Without You." That's why it was a little tougher for me. But yeah, I still give the nod to "Please Take Me Home."
Yeah, it reminds me at the end of Remember to Forget Me, man, at the end of Nine, like when that
Sure.
song ends and it's just like, whew, like I don't even smoke, but I swear to God, I'm like, I need a cigarette and a Gatorade. I'm just like, man, that was a
Uh,
wild ride.
Whoa.
All right, so Please Take Me Home, you have as well. Okay,
Yep.
so we've gone through these. We're going to tally it up here in a minute, but I want to give us each an opportunity to kind of just give final thoughts. Untitled versus Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. We've hashed it out track by track, but do you have any kind of final thoughts or just comments on the two albums?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the fact that TOYPAJ came out when it did in my life, it makes me want to get in a car and freaking go for a road trip. I can think of several times where I listened to this album on repeat with my buddy Nick back home in Phoenix when we drove to Vegas. Um, it's just a feel good album for the most part. There's a couple downer songs, but even the downer songs are just, "Stay Together for Kids" is not a happy song by any means, but damn, it's still a banger. So for me, the time in my life when this came out and the feel good vibe to it, and the fact that I can listen to it front to back and not skip anything, and I don't feel like there's any of this big drop off or it changes moods and stuff like that, I give Toy Patch the nod. Untitled, kind of like we've talked about throughout this, I think I can understand why they say that's their masterpiece. They changed so much from Toy Patch to Untitled. Um, Lyrically, it's probably stronger. Production wise, it's definitely stronger. Um, but it's also darker and emo-y at times. And then you can have songs that, bang and then go into a slow song, and it just for me, Toy Patch. I knew it was gonna win. It won by a pretty good landslide according to my tally here, but I love both albums. There's no doubt about it.
Well,
So, but I mean, you and I are both hardcore Blink fans. I mean, is there really an album that we don't like?
yeah, and that's what's tough. I mean, that's what's tough is they all have a special place in my heart. They all take me back to a certain particular time. Like I said, dude, I've got two smiley face tattoos. So don't come at
Sure.
me with like you're an Untitled hater or any shit like that. But for me, I've just said that I like that fast pop punk feel good. So it's not particularly surprising to me that I'm going to side with Toy Paj, and we'll tally it up here in a second. But yeah, when it comes to Untitled, it's really interesting because, like you, I think lyrically it's superior. I think production wise it's superior. I do think it's a masterpiece. I think artistically, this is them coming together to make something that literally has not been replicated. Like I mentioned earlier, nobody can replicate that. It's amazing. I think it was kind of a statement piece to them. I think if you ask Mark what album he's most proud of, it's probably Untitled. He's said that in the past. But to me, when I compare the two, I'm going to have to use a pizza analogy, and I tend to go to these when it comes to Blink. If I walk into my local pizza parlor, shout out to Roni's, yeah,
Here we
the
go.
house special has more ingredients. It's more of a culinary masterpiece. There's more parts to it. They're probably more proud of that. It's probably on more commercials or ads. So say that's Untitled, but I can't help but just walk in that motherfucker and order a pepperoni pizza that I love. It's basic. I've loved it forever, and that's what I'm comfortable with and prefer, and that's what I'm going with.
You're crazy.
So to me, it's just
Taroni's house special is amazing.
it is, and I like their house special. So that's a great add-on. It's like
It's the exact opposite. I know this is getting off topic, but dude, I'll get a pepperoni pizza from everywhere else, but when I go to Taroni's, you gotta get the house special.
well, and it's also a good point about sometimes I'm in the mood for a house, but rarely. But the point there is that I like my Blink typically to be fast, skate punk, good summer vibes, and there's just so much more of that on Takeoff. I think I've said I don't know if Untitled's it's not in my top three. It's not. I mean, album wise, where does Untitled fall for you?
Ooh,
I
that's
mean, is
not my
it
top three either.
okay? I didn't think it was, but I wasn't
Nope,
sure.
it's not. Not. I
Okay.
mean, I don't know where it ranks, and I'm not gonna do that right now because
Yeah, we'll save that for another episode.
yeah. But no, it's not in my top three either.
I gotcha. All right. Well, all right. Let's tally these up. I think you kind of have an idea of where you are. Do you have your final count?
I think it's 9-4.
Okay. Well, let me go through these and just tally it up in live action. Anthem 2 versus Feeling This. We both have Feeling This. Do
Yep.
this alongside me to keep me honest.
Yep.
Untitled 1 for both of us. Online songs versus online songs. We both had that. TOYPAJ 1. It is 1-1. First Date
Correct.
versus I Miss You. TOYPAJ, TOYPAJ. 2-1. We are tied.
Hmm.
Happy Holidays versus Violence. We both put Violence. So 2-2. We are locked in. Untitled versus TOYPAJ. Story of a Lonely
Correct.
Guy versus Stockholm Syndrome. We both chose Stockholm. So Untitled takes the lead here. 3-2. Rock Show versus Down. We both chose Rock Show. It is now 3-3 for both of us. Stay Together for the Kids versus Go. We both chose TOYPAJ on that. It is now 4 TOYPAJ, 3 Untitled for both of us.
Yep.
This is where we started to have our first conflict. Roller Coaster versus Asthenia. I chose Asthenia. You chose Roller Coaster.
Yep. So I'm 5-3. You're 4-4.
Okay. Reckless Abandon versus Always. We both chose Reckless.
Yep.
So Easy Target versus Every Time I Look for You. We both chose Every Time I Look for You.
Yep.
So what do you have here? You're 7-3 Untitled.
Yes.
And I am
7-3 Toy Patch.
Or yes, 7-3 TOYPAJ. I am 6-4 TOYPAJ. Okay, give me one good reason versus all of this. So I went all of this here, and you went give me one good reason.
Yep.
Okay. Shut up versus here's your letter. You went here's your letter. I went shut up. So I am right now 7-5 TOYPAJ. You are 8-4 TOYPAJ.
Yep.
And getting down to the last one, Please Take Me Home versus I'm Lost Without You. We both chose Please Take Me Home. So the final tally for you, I have 9-4 in favor of TOYPAJ. Is that what you got?
Yes, sir.
All right. So take off your pants and jacket takes the victory for you. Myself, I'm looking at this for the first time. I have 8-5. Take off your pants and jacket takes the victory. Not surprising at all. Although I'm a little shocked that I had 5 for Untitled there. I had more than you.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that too.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you have it. Head to head. I'm glad I didn't embarrass myself. If this was Untitled victory, I would have had to change the logo for the podcast. I would have had to delete all the old ones. I mean, this could have been terrible for me.
So I'll bring up a point there too. So say Untitled 1 by 1. I would still argue and go back to the vibe that Takeoff gives me and has for me, and I would still give that album the nod.
I'm glad it didn't work out that way, because that would have been interesting.
It didn't, but again, I just, the whole vibe of the album for me, just I would have argued if it came out Untitled winning by a track, I would have argued that Takeoff is still a better album.
I know I like all these better, but I still prefer Take Off Your Pants and Jacket. We're so biased. Matt's in a TOYPAJ hoodie. I almost wore mine. We're lucky we're not twinning. Okay, dude, Blink is playing shows with Tom in like 3 months.
Oh, I cannot freaking wait, dude.
Is that not crazy?
Wait.
I mean, Tom said the new single is going to be a couple months, so let's factor in a couple more. So it's probably, I don't know, 3-4 months away. Here's my prediction. I would think they would release another single, hopefully mid to late February, and then they're playing shows in March. And then I think it makes sense for the album to drop, hopefully early May, right when that tour kicks off, or maybe a couple weeks into tour.
So is there anything that's happened recently that has you just ecstatic?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm shocked that they're working on this album so much. I mean, dude, when Mark told me about it, honestly, when Mark told me about it, I thought the album was done. And this was a long time ago. And to see them in the studio all together, like still working so hard on this, I'm honestly just shocked. I think it's amazing. Because obviously they have found a reunion type of creativity that they're working hardcore together in the same room. And I'm sure if they're still creating, obviously they like what they're doing, and it's probably better than some of the stuff they came up with first. But I am shocked that they are still working on this as much as they are. And then the other thing that tickled me a little bit the other day when I saw it is Anthem Part 3.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. That's the one answer that I was throwing the line out, hoping you were going to swallow that and answer that.
Yeah.
Dude, I cannot wait.
Yeah, it better be a banger.
Hope to God it's on the album. And you know what? With what Barker did on that, it sounds like a banger.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I hope it leads off the album. I hope it's the first track.
So cool.
And fucking rips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, I can't believe it. I can't
wait. And I love seeing all the posts of them in each other's studios and stuff. It makes me feel so good that they're not just reuniting for the money and blah 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 blah. They're actually in the studio together, doing stuff together, which I cannot wait.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be a gnarly year, man. Blink is back. We got a new album, new single. You and I are gonna go to several shows.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait, man. So, all right.
I can't wait, dude.
Last episode of the year. Want to thank everybody for listening to it. Matt, thank you for your time on this. There was one person I knew. Yeah, I knew I had to get you on this panel. I thought about maybe having a larger panel, but timeline wise, I just didn't know if I'd be able to pull it off. I'm like, you know what, Matt and I can handle this. We got this.
For
So
sure.
appreciate you, buddy.
Absolutely, man.
All right, happy holidays, everybody. Talk soon. Peace.